Welcome to the Floor Academy podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Hedin, former installation contractor and boutique store owner. With me this week is Tom Strachan. He is the owner of Service Buddy, which is a CRM platform for the flooring industry. And we're going to dig into how do you choose the right software for your business. There are a ton of options out there for every aspect of things, right? Whether we're looking for measuring software, we're looking for CRM, we are looking to do our accounting, whether we want to run a PC or a Mac and how the software there affects us. I think a lot of people look for recommendations. A lot of people think that if it's the industry standard or the most popular software, it's automatically going to work. And that may not be the case because there's a lot of things that may or may not fit your business model within how the software operates. It could go, the way the software operates could go against everything that your business model does. And then you're going to be fighting to get what you want out of it. And that would be miserable. Now, that may mean your business model is wrong. I hope that's not what that means, but it could be, right? You may need to change how you do business and upgrade and make a better business, which is probably why you're here listening. But it could also be that it's just not a great fit because it doesn't operate the way you want to operate your business. So there's a lot of things to consider within this. We're going to look at it. We're going to break it down. We're going to see what we can do to really start figuring out how do we fit software to us instead of us necessarily having to fit the software. That all being said, thank you for joining us. Floor Academy is here every week to help you get a lifestyle lift. I want to help you free up your time, make more money, and live your dreams, which probably doesn't consist of working 12, 14-hour days and never seeing your family or not being able to go fishing on the boat, whatever it is. Because I know when I started my business, I was like, I'm going to have so much more time to do everything I wanted to. And that's not how it went at first. And I had to work really hard to get systems and processes in place and be able to make time to work on things so that they were more efficient and I was making more money, having more time with my family. And it has been great. What else can we do? You can check out flooracademypod.com. Make sure you go look at our mastermind groups where we are putting 5 business owners into groups that meet every other week for accountability as well as business advice. We are actively setting goals quarterly and then working towards them so that you are constantly moving your business forward. And if you are staying stagnant, you are dying. We as a society advance too fast, change too fast these days, that if you are not changing, if you're not learning something, if you're not getting uncomfortable and growing, it's not going to work long term. We got a quick word from a couple of sponsors, and then I'll have Tom introduce himself. If you are struggling to keep your schedule, forgetting to follow up with clients, or your books are behind, Cronus Flooring Business Manager has the solutions you are looking for. Streamline your life, gain more freedom, and maintain control of your business. From scheduling to follow-up reminders, integration with QuickBooks, and producing quotes quickly, you can say goodbye to your business headaches. Visit cronosoft.com/academy today to schedule your demo for this all-in-one approach for flooring business organization. Cronus, fast relief for your flooring business headaches. That is KRONUSSOFT.com/academy. It's also in the show notes. Attention flooring professionals, elevate your craftsmanship with the finest tools and supplies from TileTools.com. From spacers to saws, we have everything you need for flawless tile installations. Plus, we offer top-notch customer service and fast shipping. As a special offer for Floor Academy listeners, use code FA10 at checkout to receive 10% off your next order. Don't settle for less. Visit TileTools.com today and experience the difference in quality and service that professionals trust. Those guys will hook you up, I promise. Super fast shipping, generally ahead of schedule. You're supporting a great little company out of Menominee Falls, Wisconsin. And, actually Cronus is great too. They're going to help you out. You get set up with them and they're going to go above and beyond besides just providing you with CRM. But that's enough out of me. Tom, welcome to the show. Who are you? What do you do? And why do you do it?
Yeah. Well, first off, Kyle, thanks so much for having me. Um, I'm Tom. I'm the owner of Service Buddy, based in Boston. So, big Boston sports fan. And, for a period of time, that was a good thing. We're not so good right now. But we had our years of championships. But yeah, I grew up here. My wife and I live in Marblehead, Mass. And yeah, I started Service Buddy a couple years ago. So I officially started the company in November of 2022. And then I spent about a year and a half working with a handful of flooring companies, really just understanding their challenges when it comes to technology. And
Mm-hmm.
what was interesting is, although it was kind of the flooring space, all of these small businesses internally ran a little bit differently. So, they had similar challenges, but the way they operated was a little bit different. And, there was plenty of software options out there, but, it was overwhelming for these small businesses to really understand kind of what's the best fit for them. And,
Mm-hmm.
it took us about a year and a half to, work with the early customers and making sure that we're getting it right. And, at the top of the list is it has to be simple and easy to use. There's a lot of, options out there, some of which have been around for quite some time. But the challenge is, how is it, how is it simple enough for my team? If you have a small team to use,
Mm-hmm.
how can I train someone in a software platform that their skills aren't technology, that they're doing installations, they're talking with customers, they're on the road, things like that. So it's been an incredible fun journey to build it with these customers. And we're excited to be in the space and truly help these small business owners and their people reclaim their time back, and deliver a fantastic experience to their customer.
I think that's the key. I think everybody needs to be looking for a way to be more efficient. If we're not finding a way to try and amplify the time we put in and save seconds, hours here and there, then I don't know what we're doing. So love to hear that. I love that you said software should be easy. I think there's a lot of stuff that gets convoluted and just complicated, and there's 15 steps to do this thing, and you're like, why am I going through all of this when it should just be over here? And then just because something is the biggest and the best, I think everybody automatically thinks, oh, accounting software, QuickBooks. And this isn't like, I'm not dogging on QuickBooks, but it really isn't the greatest program for the flooring world. If you're an installation contractor like myself and you have simple invoices and you're not tracking inventory, it works great. If you are a retailer, it is in no way designed to do a flooring retail shop and manage inventory and be able to produce the kind of invoices you need. And there's just a huge struggle in that. And I think, people just default to like, oh, this is the way it is. This is the best thing on the market because they're the biggest.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
not that's not the case.
No, yeah, bigger doesn't always mean better. In fact, we found that being such a new company, we're out there competing with lots of big businesses, some of them very well funded, but it's almost been a sort of an advantage to us because we have really good relationships with our clients, and
Mm-hmm.
they don't really see this as sort of a product. They see us as a partner to help them achieve the things they're looking to do. And, for many, I'll just give you a simple one we run into all the time where, these flooring retailers and installers, many times will have multiple people working on one particular job. And just knowing, the latest, what's up to date around this particular job is a huge challenge. It's like, where do you store that information? Is it text between you and someone in the company? Is it emails? How do you keep the customer up to speed? It can become overwhelming fast. And,
Mm-hmm.
if you don't have a good system in place, as you scale your own business, it's just going to sort of spiral into chaos. So we like, how do we simplify and organize it so that, you can run a super streamlined operation, but also support you, as you continue to grow, do more jobs, do bigger jobs. But you have to have that system in place. That's,
Mhm.
something I really believe in.
I think a lot of times that I think a lot of listeners try and they gear more towards the high end market. And that means a lot of hand holding, a lot of specialty services, a lot of patience and explaining. And, you're going to be working with some more difficult material, which is going to require maybe special tools. And then we go looking for software and we're just like, whatever. Like, yeah, let me grab this off the shelf and plug and play and off I go. But what you're talking about is finding somebody that's going to be able to cater to you. And a large software company is probably not going to make something that, maybe I call up, make a suggestion, and in a year or two it gets implemented because it has to go through
Yeah.
so much testing. Whereas if you can find a smaller company such as yourself, they can, you're coming alongside them and you're like, oh, no, I can see how that's a problem for you. And I can see how that would be a problem for other people. Let us work that in, right? And then how do I backwards engineer this so that it can fit multiple instances instead of just this one very specific thing? And I like that approach. I think it's something that we don't consider enough as business owners. When we go around holding everybody's hand all day, we don't look for people to come in and hold our hand. We just kind of like, yep, good enough. Like, I'm done. I got to move on. Right. And you're so
Yeah,
like, I got to put out this fire, I got to put out this fire, I got to put out this fire, that we're
exactly.
not taking the time to do our due diligence and actually figure out what it is we need to solve the problem.
Yeah, it's spot on. It's, I recently read this book, which I highly recommend anyone, that owns their own small business reads. It's called The E-Myth.
Mm-hmm.
And it talks about, it's kind of put into story form, about a small business owner who's a baker and opens up a bakery. And then, she loves to bake and then quickly figures out that, just because you love to bake, that doesn't necessarily translate to, I'm going to run a successful bakery.
Yep.
But as as the book goes on, talks about how she implements some systems to reclaim her time back, and everything from how you deal with a customer to how do you bake a pie or a muffin. If you don't really have that nailed down systematically, you're sort of running around with your head cut off. So it's so important. Like my belief, it all starts with your customers. So if you look at if you look at your customer base and you understand, all the data around that. So what I mean by that is, how many jobs have you done for them? How many invoices or quotes that you've done for them? Is it a repeat client? Having all of that information at your fingertips allows you to run fast and kind of focus on what you need to focus on, if that makes sense.
Oh, it makes perfect sense. But I can tell you that I couldn't tell you that. I don't have that information in front of me, nor do I have it stored anywhere other than inside my head.
Yeah.
And I think that's where, I think I know that there's retailers that listen. I know there's people that manufacturers that listen. I do think the bulk of the audience is like owner operator installation companies, or maybe they got a couple of crews, and I don't think they know. And it's not
Yeah.
like it's the norm. It's I don't need to have that stuff, right? I don't have to keep track. I don't need it. We're operating on paper. We're operating on files that are stored inside of folders on the computer. And everything you're saying is right, because one of the best things that I did was actually spend the time to go back and like think about each one of my clients and develop out that avatar of who are they, right? What kind of home did they live in? How much was it worth? What kind of cars did they have? Did they have kids, no kids, dog, cat? Were the kids in any kind of sports, things like that? Putting it all together, getting that big picture of who are they and what do they do? Where do they hang out? How do they have the disposable income to afford me? And if all of that could have been put into a database, which is what CRMs are great at, it would have made that so much easier from the beginning, having all of that data. And then there's a place to actually collect it and go back. And then years down the road, I think one of the biggest things people miss is lifetime value of a client, because you may get a phone call for a $500 repair and you want to pass it up. But that $500 repair can quickly turn into 10 referrals at, $5,000 a piece, because they absolutely loved your service. They loved what you did. And you can track that through a CRM generally of like, hey, this person sent me this person, and all of their touches adds up to $100,000 over the last 5 years in revenue. Well, that's significant, right? Now, when I get a call for that $500 repair, I might start thinking twice about, well, do I really want to like pass this up, or is it worth going and doing? Because it could be another one of those situations that turns into another $100,000 over 5 years.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, if you have that data in front of you, and when I mean in front of you, like in the software and easily accessible, you're in control of that. Like for our customers, one of the big important pieces for them is to be easy to do business with. So, I've worked with, some of our clients at the beginning when they were sending a proposal to one of their customers. It was a 5-page PDF. It's, you're sending it to your customer, and if you put yourself in the customer's shoes, it's like, one, this is a lot to consume, and some of that language is probably important, but is there a better way to present it to your customer? Can you put it in a hyperlink and they can click on it if they're interested in reading it?
Mm-hmm.
Can you put on, can you send them the specs for the job, but then can you also layer in, upsells or add-ons that, the customer might want, but the customer might not be thinking that they need it or want it, but giving them that option to click, digitally on their phone or computer. Yes, I want that. Yes, I want that. And the price kind of, automatically populates, and they can sign and pay a deposit or pay in full. That's a huge win, because from the business owner standpoint, you're all of a sudden selling a bigger job. And then from your customer's standpoint, it's super easy to do business with you. Mm-hmm. It eliminates a lot of the back and forth and just gets you super organized.
I think a lot of making it easier to choose you is the right way to go. People don't like it when, they have to work to get a result. So that's awesome that there's chances to sell upgrades, but I think a lot of people are scared of asking for the upgrade. And so having what they would consider a non-pushy, non-salesy way of doing it would add a lot to what a company is capable of doing, because now you can build it into these proposals you're sending out, and it's just a click of a button away of, oh yeah, I do want upgraded finish, or I do want to upgrade to epoxy grout. I do want a floor cleaning in a year after it's installed. And now it's all done. You don't even have to think about it, and you get paid up front, which for cash flow reasons is absolutely amazing.
Yeah. And you mentioned lifetime value of the customer, and that's so important. And along the same lines is, if you think of, the valuation of your business, at some point, you're going to look to either sell the business or retire and pass it on. I was talking with mm-hmm. a flooring company right around the corner from where I live, and the guy's been doing it a little over 30 years. Very old school, no paper or no software, kind of operating all on paper. And I was having a conversation with him. Basically, there's no son or daughter to take the business over, mm-hmm. and he wants to retire. And what I was trying to say to him was, if you're airtight in your organization of your clients, and you have a ton of clients, you've been doing this a real long time. When you do look to retire, you've built a fantastic asset. You have this business, it's doing really well. How do you value it? Can you show, the lifetime value of your customers, by spend? Very easily, who you did work for last year. Mm-hmm. This isn't stuff that he can easily produce. A lot of that falls on the bookkeeper. But if you kind of take a step back, and it's hard to do as a small business owner, but if you do a good job of stepping back, outside your business and kind of looking down on it, if you just kind of clean up a few areas, it's, you're so close to being in a position where you can easily scale if you want to scale, but then you can also, run a super tight business and then get your time back. Like, a lot of people start a small business to get, be their own boss and have the freedom of it. But
Yeah.
as you realize, and I've realized and many others, it's, as soon as you do that, you're working for many people. It's not like you have one boss, you're working for a bunch. So how do you reclaim that time back is so critical.
No, I agree. And I think obviously there's a lot more that goes into selling a business, and it's not just having organization of files, right? It's what is there to sell and whatnot. But that's a totally different conversation. But even being able to sell it for more than the tools, having some sort of organization and understanding of who the client database is, and being able to sell that, like, will up the value of what you have. Because there's a lot of guys and gals that they got a trailer full of tools, and that's what they can sell it for. They'll put in 30, 40 years, and at the end of it, like, I can sell my tools for $30,000. Cool. I mean, it's better than nothing, but it could have been worth at least a little bit more had there been some sort of organization. Tom, I want to dig into, like, when just looking at software in general, what do we even need to really start looking for to consider, is this a good fit for my business?
Yeah, great question. I think it comes down to understanding, like, where the challenges or where the gaps are, for you today. And that's going to be slightly different for, different businesses. One example is, do you have late invoices? You send invoices to clients and they don't pay on time. That's some people. Some people get paid up front, which is great. Does your team struggle with customer communication, updating them on a job, or did you struggle with, your calendar, getting everything organized and making sure that, you're doing the right work at the right time. When you start to look for a software, figure out, what are your biggest gaps? And then from there, just start doing your research. Look at what's out there. Pick up the phone and call them. For us, that's a big thing. Like, any customer prospect calls, our number. It's on the website. A human answers the phone. We don't push you off to, like, set up a time or something like that. We really hop on and answer questions. But it goes back to, like, what are your challenges and what are your current processes today? For some new customers of ours, they're coming to us off of legacy software. Some of them are coming to us with, we use QuickBooks Online for our accounting. Our schedule is in a notebook, or our schedule is in, Google Calendar. And then we have this Word doc, that we'll send out to clients, for a proposal or something like that. And then it's a journey. I tell this to all new customers. It's, we're going to get you to a point where, we're going to be automating as much as you're comfortable with. But it's, when you're looking at any sort of, software vendor, it starts with the relationship you're going to have with them, because, you're going to have questions, you're going to want stuff, you're going to need stuff, and you're going to want to partner in that, because it's so critical, especially when you talk about CRM softwares, because that's the lifeblood of the business. If you get that right, everything else is a little bit easier. But yeah, I would just, understand kind of what your gaps are, what you're looking to achieve, and then start doing your research. And it's worth it. Hop on a demo with a few different businesses and ask questions. It's very easy to just kind of do a quick Google search. It's like, oh, that's the biggest company. Let's check them out. And I don't think that's necessarily the best way
Yeah.
to go about it, if that makes sense.
No, totally. I think the advice of figuring out what your gaps are is great advice. I know just from walking around the large flooring conventions, such as surfaces or coverings, right? You go and there's booth after booth after booth of every manufacturer you can think of, whether it's tools or a flooring manufacturer, or there's vendors there for CRMs, there's website people, anything you can imagine that's going to help your business. There's probably somebody there that can do it, and they're all vying for your attention. And if you go into their booth without an agenda, you will get sold on what their agenda is, and their agenda is to get a sale. And that's not necessarily a positive thing for you as the business owner, because you can quickly get overwhelmed, convinced it's something you need when you have no idea what's going on. And so you saying that you need to understand the shortcomings in your business so that you can go and get the demo and then ask questions about, hey, I'm struggling with this. What do you have for me to be able to work on this or streamline this? Or how do you help me solve this problem? Now you're in control of the conversation, and that puts you on a totally different experience level with that potential company, because you're calling the shots. You're not letting them dictate how the call is going to go and them trying to get, maybe the salesperson's super pushy and tries to take back over. But if you can kind of control that conversation and know what you're looking for, it becomes much easier to sit there and decide, is this a good fit for me or not? Otherwise, you don't necessarily know what you're looking at. And if it is a good thing, just because it's got all the bells and whistles and does all these fancy things doesn't mean it's the tool for you.
Yeah, it's so true. We'll talk to businesses that, aren't necessarily, trying to grow a crazy amount. They're like, we want to grow consistently. But, our biggest challenge is it takes us a long time to get a proposal out the door. Or, if we're doing this job, it's hard to update the client or get all of our notes together. It's different for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And, this in software, we can do an awful lot. And there's a lot of other companies that can do an awful lot as well. But it's more so, how do you tweak it and tailor it to how you want to run the show? And I don't think enough software companies think that way. They almost try to be everything to everyone. But if you can refine it in a way where it's built into your processes and not the other way around, it's gonna save you a ton of time, and it's gonna give your customer a much better experience if you kind of run it that way. And I've talked to so many small flooring businesses, and again, like going back to like they're in the same industry, but the people that work there, they might run it a little bit differently in terms of their workflows. And you shouldn't have to conform to software. The software should figure out, how best you want to run and kind of marry it, that way.
Yes, I agree. Again, I think it's, per my intro, like there's a line. There's kind of just a standard good business practice way of doing things. And I don't know that contractors always do that. And so we may need to be corrected a little bit. I think that's part of the learning curve. But yeah, I think there's definitely, you go find the software that fits your more natural flow of how you operate and what you're looking for, as opposed to grabbing the first thing off the shelf and then finding out that it's absolutely miserable for you. It doesn't function as you need it. It goes against your flow. And now you're either trying to remake your entire process of how you get a quote out the door, as opposed to actually speeding up the process of getting a quote out the door. So it's crazy, but I think that's, again, knowing, like you said, knowing your shortcomings, knowing where your struggles are, what, holes you have in your boat and you need to get plugged, and being able to have that conversation, you can start dialing in, okay, this does look like it's a good fit, or no, this doesn't fit what I'm looking for, and I need to go find software elsewhere. You could find something that's from outside of our industry and put it in place, as long as it accomplishes what you need. And again, I mean, QuickBooks is one of the easiest examples that it's just really not built for flooring stores, and yet there's so many that use it every day and like force it to make it work, and it's mind-boggling when you can go find software from companies that's built for what we do and would make your life easier. On a, a contractor front, I guess my thing is like I had a bad experience with a laser to do a measure, and so I won't like pick one up now, but how much time could I have saved over years of doing measurements by having one, and so that's my own problem of like, I had a bad experience, I don't like that technology, and so now I guess I'm the grumpy boomer at this point because I won't touch a laser to measure stuff. Oh, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's going back to like, having it be sort of tailored to you, but then also being open to ideas,
Mm-hmm.
Oftentimes, if you're able to understand like what do 20 other flooring stores or flooring retailers, like their installers, how do they do it? You know, I feel like we have a good idea of kind of where you want to go, but we have to understand like where your challenges are, because that's the biggest thing. Like if you don't get that right in the beginning, it's hard to get a lot of value out of it.
Definitely. And I think we can dig into this. I think there's probably value in being able to talk to some of your peers locally, right? Yes, you have competition locally. They probably are your competition, but can you go and ask them what they're running? And so we'll dig into that in a minute here. I want to interrupt us real quick. We got a couple of quick words. The rumors are true. GoBoard Pro is available and approved for steam showers. GoBoard Pro was developed with the pro contractor's ease of project workflow in mind. Panels sized at 48 by 64 inches will limit waste on your project. They'll require less seams, meaning less sealant is needed. And best of all, you can space those beautiful blue GoBoard washers. Oh, nope, screws. You don't need washers. The screws, beautiful blue screws out to 12 inches on GoBoard Pro without requiring washers. I'm going to put it all together one of these days correctly, folks, I promise. Visit www.jm.com/GoBoard for all the product details. Schluter Systems is all about providing products and systems that ensure durable, functional, and beautiful tile installations. With an emphasis on education through their nationwide workshop program for professionals, the goal of the company is to offer innovative solutions to the tile industry that solve common challenges faced by installers. Their product line includes over 6,000 items, including tile trims, uncoupling membranes, floor heating systems, waterproof building panels, shower systems, and thin-set mortars. For more information or to register for a workshop, visit schluter.com. Highly recommend the workshops, folks. Even if you're not in tile, they're a great experience to go build your knowledge, and they take great care of you. You'll get spoiled for a couple of days. It's absolutely fantastic. Both the links in the show notes. Check them out. All right, Tom. So we've got we're looking at software and we're trying to make it fit us, and then we're fighting against it because we're crazy business owners, and right, we can't ever do something easily the first time. We gotta bang our head against the wall a couple of times, and then we might learn our lesson. But what other things are we looking for in software here besides, knowing our gaps and kind of trying to control that conversation? Where else are we going?
Yeah, I think start with like low hanging fruit. When you look at implementing a new software, one that I've seen consistently in the space is reviews. How many businesses that have been around a long time but don't necessarily have a lot of reviews from their customers. For me, from what I've seen, is the challenge is these our customers, before they came to us, they didn't have an easy way to ask or request for a review, and their customer didn't have an easy way to give them that review. So a lot of them will sort of do it, willy-nilly, and others might do like an email. They'll hire like an email marketing agency to send out, a bunch of reviews, like a mass email or something
Mm-hmm.
like that. It's not super personal. I think a lot of people get those. One of the very easy things we do in our software is the review collection. So, being able to send out, a review, a very personalized review. Hi Kyle, thanks so much, for choosing Tom and Co. If you wouldn't mind clicking here and give us a good review, we'd really appreciate it. And it's so easy. So being able to either text that or email it to the client, we've seen our customers' reviews kind of, skyrocket because of that. And
Mm-hmm.
that's such a, in terms of what we do from a software perspective, very easy, but huge win for our customer. So reviews is something that I think is a, real low hanging fruit that you can take advantage of. And, you know, for a business that's been around a while, that doesn't have a lot of reviews, there's no reason why they shouldn't have, a ton of good reviews on Google or Yelp or something like that.
Well, and it's even if you have a company that's sending out an email campaign for you and mass marketing it to past clients, like I think that's one of those things that's just grossly underappreciated of what it can actually do for your business on how you rank on Google, how people find you, whether it's through Facebook or Google or Yelp, if that's your how you choose to find leads. Like the Better Business Bureau is dead. Essentially, Google is the new Better Business Bureau. So if you don't have reviews on Google, people think you are absolutely irrelevant. And having something that can get your clients to leave reviews so that you get boosted up in the rankings is super important. And automating that is, I had tons of reviews, but I had to ask every single person, hey, can you leave a review? Can you leave a review? Can you leave a review? Follow up again and send an email. Hey, you said you would. Could you do it? No, you're not bothering them. They said they would. Hold them accountable to do it. They'll do it. They were happy to do so, right? But yeah, it's a pain. So having some kind of a way to automate that, find that thing that does it for you and then makes it easy and it sends them right there, because I don't like having to go and track down the link or copy and paste it in. Like it's just built into these softwares and you click the button and it generates the email and off it goes and all the info's there. They click, they put in their nice words and you're done. And that's,
Yeah.
again, making things easy for clients is the key to success, right? They don't want to have to jump through the hoops of going through 10 different screens to be able to leave you a Google review.
Yeah. It's the reviews, something super easy for them, you know, is as much as you can make it easy on your customer for anything, for a quote, for a review, for an invoice, to pay an invoice. If you can simplify that, it's going to save you so much time. And especially with the reviews on Google, I think Google's the best in terms of, your Google business profile, because that's going to help people in your area, searching. You want to make sure that, you're top of the list on Google, you're on the first page, and, paid ads are great and all of that. But this is Google's going to, rank this. It's going to like this better, therefore kind of, rank you higher if you do have a lot of these
Mm-hmm.
reviews. But again, it goes back to the challenge of a lot of business owners, don't have an easy way to ask for the review, and the customer, doesn't have a very simplistic way to give them that review. So, bridging that gap is very important.
For sure. So when I'm looking at software, I guess, platform matters because we've got people that are, you got Android people and you got Apple people and you got Windows people and maybe somebody's super techie nerd and they're out there running like some kind of Linux or system and they got Ubuntu going or something.
Yeah.
What are we doing to again, I think it's there's ecosystems within ecosystems. And so how do we determine what's the best fit for my business? I think traditionally to break it down, the easiest way would be, Macs were for creatives. That's just kind of where that's landed for forever. I think that's still generally the case, minus the big boom over the last. Well, it's kind of slowed down, but there was like a 20-year period where they were all that in a bag of chips, and it was the cool thing to have. But they leaned heavily on the creative side, whereas this Windows infrastructure is the serious suit and tie business people thing, and that's where you're going to find all that stuff, and generally speaking the software lends itself to that, but there are things that are crossover, or people make it for other systems. So how do we go about choosing like an environment that we want to work in, or like how do we determine that fits our business well?
Yeah, in terms of kind of the device that you're using for work, you want to work on something you're comfortable with, whether that's an iPad. I'm a PC guy. I prefer PCs. Macs are great as well. And then we have customers that operate on an iPhone or an Android. It doesn't matter. But I think it's important, whatever software you're kind of looking at, is it cloud based? That is by far and away the most important thing to consider when choosing a software, because you want to make sure you can access it from anywhere, from any device. And generally, for the most part, modern softwares, especially in this industry, if they're cloud-based, you're going to be able to do that. Stuff that's on premise, that you have to almost like remote access in, and you're going to find this more in like the legacy software space. These are very difficult to work with, because you can't access it from anywhere, from any device. So you can't run your business, when you're at home or on vacation. And the companies out there that had a legacy software product that have this brand new cloud offering, it is so hard and complex to take an on-premise software and make it cloud-based. The functionality is not going to be kind of uniform, and it's very hard to take a customer that is operating on-prem to the cloud. So by far and away, the first piece you want to look at is this software modern cloud-based software? And then from there, kind of figure out like what device you want to work off of. For some people that spend a lot of time on the road, they're on iPads, they're on a tablet. So it's got to be super user friendly to work with. When you're not in the store or in the office. But there's a lot of different things that go into it. From the jump, I wanted Service Buddy to be built and optimized for regardless of the device you're on. So we have a lot of customers that run everything on an iPad. We have some that run mostly are on their phone. They're going into their computer when they have like more detailed things they want to do, and they want a bigger screen. But in an ideal world, you should be able to do anything that you need to do technology wise, from your cell phone.
Oh man, it drives me nuts. Look, I love cloud-based stuff. It makes things super easy. I think I'm just old and cranky about it, and it drives like this. It's the service fee. I want to be able to buy software like I used to and own it, and then maybe like there's a big update every couple of years, and I have to like pay the next big chunk of money. But I just like it's the monthly service, like to pay to be able to access something. And then I guess that's the scary thing for me, is that how easy is it to move your database? Like I think that's the thing that I would be super concerned about in any of this with any program that I'm using, and I'm starting to put a lot of data in, is I don't own the platform, because I'm paying to access it monthly. And then I decide, hey, this platform's not working for me, but I've been using it for 5 years. How do I move it? And is it going to be compatible with the next platform I get? Or am I going to have to sit there and manually enter 5 years worth of data back in to get that platform to be giving me all the data that I want out of it, instead of starting all over again and putting, just starting at ground zero and throwing out 5 years worth of client information.
Yeah, I think from the subscription standpoint, going back 10 years, 15 years, maybe software used to, you used to buy a license to that software platform and you owned it. And then there was a lot of challenges around if you bought the software and you own the platform now, you're not going to see the improvements that kind of roll out over time. We come out with a release every 2 weeks and a big release every month. And that comes from customer feedback. It comes from, meeting with prospects and understanding kind of how, they run things and how do we better implement the user experience. So things that took you 3 clicks, how do we get that down to 1 click? Stuff like that. There's a lot that goes into it. So the software that you necessarily subscribe to today is, in theory, 5 months from now, a year from now, is going to be way better and more designed, to how you run it. And the things like all sorts of different enhancements can be rolled out because of the subscription. So a lot of companies are like, what, we don't really see this as a monthly expense. Like this is truly a revenue driving thing for us. If we're able to reclaim X amount of hours back in a week, or, we're selling, X amount of dollars more per job, through this software, that's sort of how to think about it.
Yeah.
In regards to the data, for us, like if we're connecting to, so we're not an accounting software. We're business management software. So if a client has like a QuickBooks Online and it's a new customer, we can integrate with that and pull in, historical data via their QuickBooks into Service Buddy. For clients that are coming off of other software products or legacy systems, we can export their data out of that. Especially with a lot of the older ones, there's a lot of reformatting that on the Service Buddy side that we'll do to help kind of import and organize clients, invoices, customer notes is a big one. If you have notes on customers, we can, very easily organize those and put them in the client profile. And then, if a client's looking to leave us or, leave another company, getting the data, you own the data and it's very easy to export it. And now, not just us, but there's a lot of other companies out there that it's very easy now to import or export data. But the beauty of the software subscription is it's continually being enhanced and updated. And at some point you're going to run into an issue. For example, like, in our system, if you go to delete an invoice, a pop-up comes up, are you sure you want to delete this invoice, Kyle? And then if you click, yes, I definitely want to delete that invoice. Sometimes if somebody does that, because we're cloud-based, we can quickly, pull that, out of AWS and put it right back in the system. So it goes back to like having a partner. You want to be in the business of flooring. You don't want to be in the business of technology.
I agree. And I get why you pay monthly these days and it's cloud-based and updates just happen and you don't have to worry about people not updating their system. And you got one person working on this thing, somebody else got the update, they're working on that. Now these two things won't communicate anymore. I get it. It's one of those things I can't wrap my head around. I just want to buy my software and be done with it.
I know. There was a relatively new customer we had that they bought a software product about 15 years ago. And they've been operating it off of it since then. But there's always challenges. What happens if it goes down? What happens if you need something? If you're not, an active customer, it's really hard to get the support, you need to be able to kind of do the things that you're looking to do.
Yes, which are also, great points of what does the support side look like? And how, when you have a problem, how are they stepping up to help you get through it? How much are they supporting you? Are they solving it? Are they coming alongside you? Is it something on their end? Is it something you did? Are they walking you through it? Are they making sure to teach your team if it's an issue with people not understanding? So that's a great point. Is that I think there's a you may feel like you pay more now, but the level of what you can get access to is probably higher than it used to be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would totally agree. That's, it's great to own it, but most businesses have kind of moved away from that model for a variety of reasons. And the reasons are, we don't want to just sell it once. It's, the product is always evolving. And you want to make sure that, you're getting the latest and greatest.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Again, it's being able to make sure everybody's on the same page all the time. You log in and it's automatically updated to the newest version in the browser. It makes sense. I also, having the browser-based stuff that's accessible anywhere probably works on any device. So whether I have a phone, an iPad, a computer, laptop, like I can get on it. I don't have to worry about, even like my banking app on my phone works way differently than the way the website works. There's no uniformity in them. And it's mind-boggling, right? And so these cloud-based systems are they're just much better at it. There's only one way it works, and no matter how you access it, it works that way. It may be a pain to like navigate on a phone because it's so small for the screen, but you can make it work.
Yeah, on a mobile device, the challenge is you just have less real estate to work with in terms of showing the user what they need to see. And that's unique. That's not unique to us. That's all software on a mobile device. But it's important to have feature parity, meaning if you're on your desktop and you're doing something, you should be able to do that same thing on a mobile device. It's just a matter of whatever company you're working with, can they present that to you in a very easy way that you can navigate. And we put a ton of thought and work into doing that to have full feature parity, regardless of device that the user's using.
Okay. I don't know. Anything we didn't hit on that you think is important when we're looking at choosing software and how to really dial in what's going to be the best fit for a business?
I would say, if I put myself in the customer's shoes or the prospect's shoes, I would say, talk to your team. They're generally going to be the ones using it the most. We see a lot of our owners, will log in to see like unpaid invoices or, quotes that are outstanding and stuff like that. But generally your team's going to be the ones using it. So know kind of what they're comfortable with, kind of what their skill level is with technology. I had a quote that we're going to put on the website soon from a new customer. They said, "This is brain dead simple." And that's exactly what we're going for. It's like, how do we make this as simple as possible? Mm-hmm. Talk to the team and get a sense of kind of, again, going back to what we talked about earlier, like what are the gaps? What are you looking to achieve? And then just start doing your research. And, that doesn't mean just looking at, the biggest companies out there that at trade shows that have the biggest booths. There's plenty of options. So go interview people, go talk to people in these different vendors and get a sense of kind of who they are and who they work with. And, from there, kind of understand what support you're going to get, because you're going to need it. Especially, we do a ton of the heavy lifting on our side, getting someone up and running, so that when we give you the keys to it, you're ready to go.
Mm-hmm. Which is, I think that's great advice. Is go interview people, right? As much as we've talked about it before, folks. As much as you go out and the clients are interviewing you to make sure they want you as a contractor, you're interviewing them to make sure that you want them as a client. Choosing a software company, choosing a marketing company, choosing a bookkeeper, whatever you're looking, deciding that you're going to work with a GC. It's all the same. You're all interviewing each other. You got to make sure that your core values align. You got to make sure that it's a good fit, whether it's a piece of software or, a business you're partnering with, and that it's compatible and you're both leaving, everything the way you want it. So I think that's great advice, Tom. Where can people learn more about you and Service Buddy?
Yeah, feel free to hit our website. It's servicebuddy.io. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. And I have my cell phone right on the website. So, happy to chat with anyone that is interested in learning more or has any general advice. And again, talk to a ton of different owners. So we're seeing a lot in the market. And it's so important to get it right, to make the correct decision. And, we'd be happy to meet with anyone who's interested in learning more.
Awesome. Right on, folks. I think that's going to do it for us this week. Let's see. What can we do? Again, go check out Floor Academy Pod. Make sure you are looking into our files section where we've got our business budget calculator. We've got our equipment tracker. We've got our job costing spreadsheets that they're free, folks. I asked for an email address and then I don't even use my email list. I'll be honest. I need to start using it, but you get them for free. They help your business and you stay more organized. So go get my lead generators that aren't generating leads for me. Let's be dead honest about what's happening on my side of things. You can help support the show at patreon.com/Floor Academy. Even $5 a month goes a long way in helping me to continue to produce the content and help you continue to change your business. And we've got a quick couple of words from a few more sponsors. Hey, listeners, it's nearing that time again. Time to remind you that the International Surface Event is returning to Las Vegas, January 28th to the 30th, 2025. So mark your calendars now. Floor Academy podcast listeners will have the opportunity to register for free once registration opens in September using the promo code Kyle. Whether you're an installer, retailer, distributor, or serve in another capacity within our industry, TICE is a solid resource to expand your knowledge and networking base. You can also learn about the newest and industry-leading products coming to market. Stay up to date with the International Surfaces Events page on Facebook or online at intlsurfaceevent.com. Ardex, providing innovative solutions for the construction industry for 75 years. From our game-changing tile and stone installation products to our easy-to-install TLT shower systems, we've got you covered. Our industry-leading moisture control products like Ardex VB100 ensure a solid foundation for our best-in-class lineup of self-leveling underlayments and subfloor preparation products like Ardex Feather Finish and Ardex Feather Finish XF. At Ardex, we are building tomorrow. To learn more, visit www.ardexamericas.com today. Again, folks, links are in the show notes. Go check out the sponsors. Let them know that you heard about them here or that you're using their products, that you love their support of Floor Academy. I'd appreciate it. They would appreciate it. And Tom, thank you again for joining us and discussing software options and sharing a little bit about Service Buddy. I think that's going to do it for us, and we'll catch you all next week.